And we're back to do the classic radio puking thing there. So, second part of the questions here. Let's go back to miscellaneous because the miscellaneous gets really miscellaneous here. From MF Doom in our Discord, pick your opening day roster in 3 years and include Scooble.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a chance that Scooble's going to be on the team in 3 years.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, it would be awesome. We've talked about this a bunch. He's the sort of guy who wants to get to free agent. The Tigers will have the same chance everyone else has to sign him,
yeah.
and I don't see, unless Chris Ilitch desperately wants to keep Tarek Skubal and puts up, the biggest deal possible. I don't think there's any way that Scott Harris will give a pitcher who's had two arm injuries, the 8-9 year deal at 40 million a year that Skubal's going to get from somebody. It's not in Scott Harris's nature. So unfortunately, but if we were to put him in there, okay, fine. So something happens. Skubal's your number one starter. Who's your number two starter in 3 years? You think?
You know what? I'm thinking about this. Like, if I'm thinking about this right now, number two starter,
Mm-hmm.
I think it doesn't come from the system. I mean, I hate to say this, like I don't, nothing against Troy Melton or anything like that, but I mean, I love it to be Troy Melton, but
Yeah.
I think it's a guy, it's somebody maybe like we're not expecting right now. I think the second or third starter, the number two, number three starter in the system, they're going to for the Tigers in 3 years from now is either going to be you would like it to be Owen Hall or somebody along those lines, or maybe Andrew Sears just becomes a beast. Who
That'd be
knows?
fun.
But gun in my head right now, Chris, I will say this: the second best pitcher on the Tigers is not going to be somebody from the farm system. Third or fourth, fifth starter,
Mm.
sure, but I just don't think the next future. If we're not going to put Scooble on this roster, I know that MF Doom wants me to, but look, MF Doom, I'm gonna keep it real with you. I'm not gonna do that. Sorry, I'm not gonna do that. So I think the number one starter could be a guy like Troy Melton, possibly Troy Melton. Two starter, free agency, or a gem they find from a trade or something. And a guy like maybe Andrew Sears, maybe your three starter, maybe four starter. And Witherspoon, you know what? Screw it. Well, I'll put Witherspoon back there. Like, who knows? I mean, he might turn out pretty well. You
Yeah.
know?
That's fun. Yeah. I mean, I would probably, just given who they have right now, I would guess I would go with Reese Olson as their number two starter in 3 years.
Yeah, okay.
It's
Yeah.
it's tough. It's tough to say. I think Mize will have been a free agent too, and we'll assume that he moved on. I guess Jackson Jobe will still be around. He's never had a full healthy season,
Yeah.
but hopefully he puts it all together. He certainly has all the talent, so you'd like to have him as the number three starter. And then you've got, like, is Montero still around? Melton. I think one of those two guys maybe is in there on the back of the rotation. And then, yeah, let's take somebody that they just drafted, and I'll do a flyer and say the Mays kid from Maine, or Caleb Lays. Let's say that he's their second lefty in the rotation as their number five starter. Have some
You know
fun
what? How about Gabriel Reyes? You know what?
there.
Okay. You know what? You know what? All right. If we're gonna play this way, I say then it's gonna be fine. It'll be Olson, Melton, or person. Maybe because the reason why maybe I was thinking Melton might go in the bullpen. So who knows?
Mhm.
But then you have somebody like that. Then Sears or Gabriel Reyes. Reynor Castillo, I would have put Reynor Castillo. If you asked me this question last year, I'd put Reynor Castillo in there. But right now, I'm just kind of questioning what's going on with him right now. Um, so if we're looking at just strictly pitching, we haven't even talked about the offense yet. Clark McGonigal, uh, Basueno, I think would be there for sure. I think a guy like Cole Q's going to be there, obviously. Catching wise, Dingler's going to be there. You're probably going to have, hopefully, Campos makes an appearance at this point. Um, Maybe a guy like I'm trying to think of like somebody right now in the John Peck. But John Peck might be there too. Who knows? I'm trying to think on the outfield wise. Outfield wise right now.
Well,
Ooh, like that's. I'm not trying to be like. I mean, you like to see Brent Callahan too, but I'm sorry. I just need to see guys at Erie before I can just go.
mhm.
Yeah. So
Yeah, I mean, I think Yeah, the fun one to dream on is so Riley Green will still be on the team.
Yeah.
So he'll be your left fielder or right fielder. I put Max Clark in either right or left, and Parker Meadows in center. Hopefully, Parker Meadows gets the bat going soon. I think Kerry Carpenter will technically still be on the organization as well. That's a tough one to project since he's always hurt every year too. Yeah, and then the infield, it's let's put McGonigal at shortstop and Bryce Rayner at third base, and have Colt Keith playing second base and Josue Briseño at first base with Torkelson. Briseño and Torkelson kind of first base DH, and then you got Dingler and Lorenzo behind the plate, and that's a fun lineup to me.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll give McKinstry. He'll be sticking around too.
Will
Like,
he still? Yeah, it is. Let's see. When is he? When is Zach McKinstry a free agent? I'm looking 2028. So this would 26, 27. So in 3 years he'll be a free agent, depending on how you define it.
yeah.
But
Also,
who knows? Maybe they'll re-sign him. They
yeah,
like him. And
maybe
he's already
Drew.
30.
Maybe Drew Warwick. Oh, he's already 30. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Drew Warwick might be knocking on the door at that point. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, that's tough. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
really hard to know in 3 years.
Yeah. That's why sometimes when you see those Baseball America like opening day roster things they do, sometimes it's almost like some of those names are like,
Yeah.
"Oof."
Well, let's think about it. Let's look at 3 years ago right now. 3 years ago right now, Josue Briseño was in the Dominican Summer League hitting under 280 with 4 home runs. And now he's a top 100 prospect. So
Yeah.
tough to say.
Yeah. It's tough to say. From Mark in our Discord, Franmir Montilla due for promotion anytime soon? I don't think so. I think only because Lakeland, if it wasn't for the injury to Rayner, then maybe. But Lakeland right now needs all the infield help they can get, and I think I don't think there's no rush to rush him to West Michigan.
Yeah, he's been playing well lately. He's kind of on one of his hotter streaks. But yeah, there's nothing like he's not dominating the level or anything like that, and there's no harm in keeping him down there. I don't think there's nobody necessarily, you know, pushing him from behind either. Jose Dixon's doing fine. Jude Warwick's doing fine in the FCL, but nobody's like screaming, "Hey, call up and play middle infield." They moved up Hayden because, in part, because he can play outfield and both middle infield positions, and because he's a little bit older. They may move Montilla up at the end of the year if he goes on a hot streak, but I don't think it's imminent by any means.
Yeah, only because again they also have they have a lot of infielders right now, and at West Michigan. So I think that being said, I just think he's better off at staying down there. I mean, it just gives him another opportunity to continue to grow. So I don't know. Like I don't see the rush to have him up. So all right, for our next question, and let me see here. That comes from. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. He had another question too. And if you had to put a number on it, likely that Professor McGonagall plays for the major league team this year. You know what? I would, if you would have asked me this question like a month ago, I would have said no chance. But I think I'm gonna go. If I put a number on it, I say 30% chance, and I say 30% chance only because I know the organization loves him a lot, but it really depends on what happens here in Erie. Now, if he hits a cover out of the ball in Erie and there's injuries or something to that effect, then I think that's the 30%. I mean, 30% still not like guaranteed thing, but the org really there's some people in the org that think that he could play in the major leagues right now.
Yeah,
And he's one of the few people that they're probably I'm probably one hand or maybe one finger really essentially is the one of the few players they believe he can play right now.
yeah. I mean, I would not go that high. It's possible, but I'd keep it at like 5%. It'd be one thing. Like, I don't know if they're comfortable having him come up and play shortstop at the big league level. I
Yeah,
think they might be comfortable with his bat. And he's a solid defender, and I think he can play shortstop at the big league level. It's just, there's work to be done there, and I don't know if you want to do that. Like, suddenly he's our shortstop for the playoffs, right? Like,
yeah,
that, it, I don't know, maybe. like I said, I mean, we're halfway through July right now, so he would have to go absolutely bonkers in Erie, I think, for like a month, and then they could call him up if they're 100% sure, they would call him up to Toledo, and then from there, who knows? But for me, he's more likely to kind of win a job out of spring training next year.
Yeah, there is a the reason why I said 30% is because there's a lot of things that would have to factor in. If Sweeney continues to struggle, and the, it may be a possibility. But again, we'll have to see how he adjusts to Erie before that's even discussed, or even a possibility. We This one came from we is it Weegas or
Wegsy bot,
yeah, Wesley Bot. Okay,
Wesgy
sorry.
bot. Yeah, what is it?
Yeah,
Hold on, let me
Wesley.
look at. Yeah, Wegsy bot.
Yeah. His question is favorite Tigers minor leaguer currently not in your top 30. That's a very good question. Chris, why don't you go ahead and
I have one, and some people this will be like be kind of repeating myself, but it's Yonan Koba, the right-handed pitcher who he may have just turned 19. Let's see, Yonan Koba.
hey 19.
He turns 19 in 3 days. Right-handed pitcher down in the Dominican Summer League. Right now, he's got a 3.29 ERA, but he's striking out close to 12 per nine with fewer than walks per nine. But more than like the stats to me is just having watched him pitch now, and we have the capability to do this now because of the YouTube feeds. I've watched him pitch maybe 4 or 5 times, and I've seen just a lot to like for a kid who's not even like I said, just about to turn 19. He's sitting 94, 95 for all of his outings up to 5 innings. It'll dip down to 91, but he's also been up to 97. And again, you're talking about a very young kid. The fastball has some life to it, particularly at times it really explodes with arm side run, and then he backs it up. He's got a really nice. At first, I didn't think the breaking ball was very good, and I thought his changeup was much better. But he's got a nice low 80s breaking ball that has some really like slurvy sweeping action to it. Gets a lot of swings and misses with that. And when his changeup is on, it's in the upper 80s, and it really misses a lot of bats too. So like, there are three really interesting pitches and a lot of strikes from this kid. And the comparison I keep making is if he were a draft prospect or a high schooler, I think he would be like a top 20 prospect in the system. It's just one of those things where not many people have seen him, and so I don't think he's widely known yet. But certainly, I know Jerry and I love watching him pitch, and I put up like 4 or 5 videos of him now because I just think it's really fun to watch him pitch. And who knows, maybe it doesn't work out, maybe he gets hurt, maybe the strikes aren't nearly as good when he gets to the United States. But he's a guy that I think may start showing up on lists in the next year or two.
Yeah, his stuff is really, really good to watch. One of the few times where I will because sometimes most of the time DSL games are on during the middle of the day or like
Yeah.
at 11 o'clock or noon, and I'm sitting there, and what happens is I'm just doing this. I'm like, I have my screen monitor, so I just go like one of this, and just like,
Yeah.
damn, dude, his arm really does stand out there. As far as guys that are not in the top 30, you know, if I'm gonna go if I'm gonna look at like pitchers or I think about this. I really like Lucas Elso. I've been watching him pitch. He doesn't stuff like in terms of like his velocity and all that. Lakeland's been doing these weird hybrid starts with like 3 or 4 innings. But he's a guy who's been. And Moises Rodriguez is technically in our top 40, but I really like his stuff too because he's like 97, 98. He's got the higher velocity. And as far as like hitters go, I like Garrett Penton's story right now. He's been off it was an undrafted free agent. He's already got like I think 10 home runs down in Lakeland. He's off to a good start in West Michigan. That's a good story for anybody. Him and Patrick Lee both. Like Patrick, love Patrick Lee. He's got a big arm on him, and I think he's been playing well as of late too. And he's been, I would say Patrick Lee, who's just right outside, I believe, or he's in our top 36, I believe.
Patrick Lee.
Yeah, or did he fall off our top
He
40?
fell off in our update. That's what I was going to look right now. We had him in our top 40, whatever else it was before. I'm looking at the top 30. Too many requests. It's
Huh?
it's not letting me go to our site right now. It says too many requests.
What?
It's probably something going on with my computer.
Okay.
Um,
I have the list right up here. So,
yeah, I can probably look at my.
so Patrick Lee is just outside of top 40.
Yeah, where's Ellisalt?
Oh, he's number 34, but I mean,
Yeah,
it's just he's not. We won't talk about him very often, but
no, it's true. Yeah, he's not in our top 30.
yeah,
It qualifies.
it does qualify. You know, you're right. Also, I mean, another guy too that we haven't really, who's I think he's injured right now, isn't Mikel Ashman? Isn't he injured right now, or
I don't think Micah Ashman's hurt right now.
oh,
I mean, I can take a look. But I think he's okay.
okay?
Shoot,
He's another guy. He's another guy I put on on that list too.
yeah. Let's see, Micah Ashman. Yeah, active. Not.
Okay,
Yeah.
I have
So
to
he's
change
good.
that. I have to change that off our list there. But yeah, that's another guy I put up there as well.
All right.
Okay. What are the three themes you have? What are the three themes you have seen from all minor league squads this year? Well, this is something. And this question came from Twins Hater 69420.
69 420. Yeah.
69420, aka Matt from the show.
Mhm.
Very strong bullpens. So that's one thing that I've noticed across the board. Toledo is ranked seventh, best bullpen. Erie has the best bullpen, 2.51 ERA, runs or 0.65 runs better than anybody else. West Michigan, best bullpen, that's 3.08. The next best bullpen is 3.36, and Lakeland, best bullpen ERA, 3.61. They're building bullpens out. They're establishing themselves pitching wise, the machine, if you will. They're rolling them out, and it's non-traditional, and it's not like a every. There's there's no official closer. There's no official. It's a closer by committee kind of squad across the board. I think another theme too is good interior, just the defense. The defense, I think, is really like the position versatility is something that like we've seen Jarvis play third. Now he's playing short. Now he's playing third. You're saying it was just a matter of time before Max Anderson played a different position. Now he's playing third a little bit. So the position versatility is so key to be a part of the Tigers organization now. I really think that.
Yeah, I think. I mean, you've been talking about how good the bullpen is all year. All the bullpens are all year, and it's true. And it is interesting. It just feels like they care about their bullpen, and it's not necessarily just finding like crazy arms that can throw really hard. It's all about finding interesting guys who do different stuff with their pitches and throw strikes. And throwing strikes is, I think, that's kind of the organizational mantra, right? But it's right there in the stats. Lakeland pitchers have given up the fewest walks. West Michigan pitchers have given up the fewest walks. Erie pitchers have given up the second fewest walks in the Eastern League. And Toledo pitchers have given up the fourth fewest walks in the International League. That's out of 20 teams there. They're throwing strikes. And that's probably has a huge part to do with why the ERAs are so low. They're not putting guys on base. So even when they get hit, it's just a solo home run or something like that. Trying to find offensive themes is kind of tough. And I was searching, and it's like, well, uh, Erie and West Michigan are good at everything offensively. Walks, hits, runs, home runs, they're doing it all. Lakeland is not hitting or walking a ton, but they're second in home runs, and Toledo is second in walks, but near the bottom in hits and home runs. But I will say this, when you go under the hood a little bit, the entire organization is hitting the ball hard. Toledo has the fourth highest hard hit rate in the International League, and all the way down at Lakeland. Lakeland has the highest hard hit rate in the Florida State League. So these guys are hitting the ball hard, and they're having good success with it. So I think those are the trends, but we'll see if they keep going.
Yeah, and I think the bullpen will continue to go through. From Pick in our Discord, if McGonagall, Clark, and Mersenio would have their own theme songs, what would they be? Look, I'm not hip on the new music anymore. I'm kind of becoming that old guy. Like I like my music. But if I know they have like their favorite walk up music, but if I had one for Kevin McGonigal, it would be. I'm trying to think of like. Get back to me on that one.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Well, I've got some if you want. Yeah, I mean, I
yeah.
so for McGonagall, I just immediately thought of the 1960s Batman theme. I just think of him as he's just gonna hit. He just hits and hits and hits, and it's just like no 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 hit
Yeah,
man
pow,
Batman.
wham,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
Pew! Yeah,
yeah,
just like that. For Max Clark, I've got "Put It in the Air" by the rap group MOP. Because that's what we want him to do.
yeah.
And then along those lines, I've got for Josue Briseño, I've got "Won't Catch Me Running" by Razzcazz, which is it's a sample of Sade from "Cherish the Day," where she says "Won't catch me running." But that's like a vaguely underground rap song from the mid to late '90s.
Well, you know what though? I would probably have to do so. Okay, all right. I got one from McGonagall that's kind of same thing, like kind of
Hmm.
very cerebral, like just it's a constant beat. It would be the song remains the same, like by Led Zeppelin, like dun 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 dun, like that would be a really cool one for him because him coming out like dun 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 dun, yeah, that I don't know, that'd be kind of cool. I know that's not what people expect me to say, but Max Clark, I'm trying to think of trying to think of like not something cliche. I was gonna say like something like Big Pimpin', but
That'd be
I got
fun.
let it I got Stay Fly. I gotta stay fly. Who is that? Is that Dayton Family?
Stay Fly. I don't know.
Uh,
Well, let's see. Stay Fly by the 3 6 Mafia.
yeah, 3 6 Mafia.
There you
Stay
go.
fly. Gotta stay fly. I gotta stay fly. Yeah, that song. And Basenio, I'm not gonna go with this typical Latino thing, and like because play something like that. But if I had to say, how about Here Comes the High Stepper?
Oh, wait, by Any Kamoze?
Yeah,
There you go. All right.
yeah. Here Comes the High Stepper. I know people have used that before.
The theme song from Pret-a-Porter, also known as Ready to Wear.
Also, wasn't that movie?
Weird fashion movie in the mid '90s by I think Robert Altman.
Was it? I thought it was Sliver, wasn't it? Or no. You're right. No, it is. Okay, no, you're right. I was thinking of Sliver. You know what? A Sliver. I was thinking of UB40.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I man.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, really driving people
UB40.
away from the
Yeah. Well,
podcast.
yeah. Well, luckily, yeah. But look, here's the thing. UB40. It was one of the biggest. All like they were a cover band. That's all they were. It's
Mhm.
the same thing with like. Why, how the hell is Joe Cocker in the Hall of Fame and all the guy was a cover guy? Honestly, there's somebody brought that up in the Discord. So Discord people who are listening to this will appreciate this. Joe Cocker should not be in the Hall of Fame.
Well, wait. Now, who did "Woman to Woman"? Was that Shirley Brown? Yeah. Yeah. I guess he did. He did a bunch of covers. I don't know. He had a very interesting voice. Some
Yeah.
people, there are people. I'm sure there are people in the Hall of Fame that Elvis
Yeah.
never wrote a single song.
Yeah. No,
I
true.
mean, he performed the hell out of songs, but he wasn't a song like what
Yeah.
if
Same
you've
thing with
got
Michael Jackson. I mean, Thriller, like, I think
Thriller.
Billy, the Thriller, Billie Jean was written by a British dude, I think. Who
Yeah,
just
that's
passed
right.
away.
It was
Yeah.
he wrote a bunch of big songs, didn't he?
Yeah. He just recently passed away, too.
Mm.
I mean, then again, Michael Jackson did not arrange the music for Thriller. I mean, it was all Quincy
Quincy Jones.
Jones. Yeah. And also a lot of the guitar playing from Eddie Van Halen,
Rod Temperton.
Robert Temperton. Oh, by the way, the session musicians on Thriller, too, were the guys from Toto. They were
Oh,
like,
no
yeah.
kidding.
So, yeah. Anyways, all
Oh.
right. Theater for 5 there. And there's some people who appreciate this stuff. Okay. So that goes into our Patreon questions. And I know we answered this a little bit earlier for Kobe Woodson, but the highest rated we didn't answer it on this portion.
Yes.
Who's the highest rated prospect you think realistically trade at the deadline? So it depends on what prospect list you look at, but I would have to say Tyrone might be a possibility. I think that Max Anderson, and then I don't think Tigers are going to trade any pitchers unless it's a reliever. I think they're gonna somebody like that. Maybe like Yeah,
Yeah, I was considering,
maybe Sears.
Troy Melton, but I think honestly, to be perfectly blunt, there's not enough starting pitching in the system for them to
Yes.
trade Troy Melton. You're looking right now, there are basically three guys who have like a 50% chance or better of starting in the system at the big league level. I mean, some guys might down the road, but nobody at Double A or higher, other
No.
than Gibson, Long, Montero, and Melton. And one of those guys is going to have to be the number 5 starter for the rest of the season, right? With Job out,
Yeah.
and they may split it. And if you were to trade away Melton, then you've got basically one starter in reserve, and then you're looking at using guys like Dietrich Enns or Nick Margashevas or Jordan Balazovic. Like, you're really dipping into there. So I don't think they would trade Melton just because they don't have the depth. I agree with you. I think the most likely of the highest rated prospects to get traded would be Lorenzo. I think there is a world where they might trade Max Clark, but it would have to be an absolutely blockbuster deal, and I don't see that happening. I think they there's aspects of Max Clark that maybe they don't love, but he brings a certain everything with him, right? Like if he works out as a player, he's going to be a superstar at the big
Yeah.
league level, and I think that would be something that they would really covet. So I don't think they would trade him. I think McGonigal and Rayner are essentially untouchable, and I think that they don't want to trade Briseño, I think we mentioned before, but I think they would in the right deal.
Yeah, it would have to be somebody that would really knock him off their, like a guy that maybe have some club control underneath them too.
Yeah, for sure. They're not trading any of these guys for rentals. Like
Yeah,
anybody, I yeah, even Max Anderson, they're not moving for a rental. And I don't mean to like minimize him by saying even Max Anderson, but like just saying that he's like the lowest ranked of the guys we've mentioned. They wouldn't move him for a rental.
yeah, and it kind of answers Elton's second part too. Like three prospects untouchable: Clark, Briseño, and McGonigal. And and you know what? Put Melton in there. I think he's untouchable too.
Yeah, well, I mean,
For
so
the
that's
standpoint of depth purposes, that's what I mean.
to me, and that was we were talking about the depth. If they were to trade Melton, it would have to be you're getting a Mackenzie Gore type. It
Yeah,
would be in a package like that where you're getting a top of the rotation starter for multiple years, and then you feel okay about trading away one of your few depth starters. But other than that, yeah, I would consider him untouchable, I guess you would say. And yeah, Elton said, do they go all in at the trade deadline because they're not going to resign Skubal? I don't think any kind of all in depends on how you define all in, right? But I don't think I think the odds are pretty strong that in 2 weeks, I guess it's a little bit 2 weeks in a day. The trade deadline is at 6 p.m. 2 Thursdays from now. That the top 5 prospects in the system are still in the system.
yeah,
That's McGonigal, Clark, Rayner, Lorenzo, Briseño, and top 6 Melton. I think they're all still in the system. I think anyone beyond that could be gone, but that's the level of return they're going to get. I think they're going to get a couple bullpen guys, maybe a bat, and that's it.
yeah. I think so too. I don't think that's too many names are gonna change as of yet, but I still think there's gonna be a trade, but we'll see what happens. Which kind of leads into our next question from Wesley Ritter from Patreon. What kind of return do you think Max Anderson paired with somebody else could get the Tigers?
No, yeah, I mean, I do think Max Anderson and a depth starter or a reliever or another bat could get you theoretically could get you David Bednar. I like
Yeah,
he's the sort of reliever. He's got a year after this year, so it's you'd be getting from a year and a half, and that's the sort of deal that I think that Scott Harris would like to run. The Pirates need as many bats as they can get. Even they in their draft this year, their 2 best picks were high school pitchers. They've done a good job with pitching, but they don't have many bats coming up aside from possibly the best prospect in the minors, but in Connor Griffin. But yeah, like I don't know if Max Anderson moves the needle for them a ton, but I think if you put Max Anderson and let's like I said, like Frank Mantilla, you put those two together, I think that gets you David Bednar or close to it.
yeah,
I don't think it's going to get you a Mason Miller if you want that because he's under team control for like another 3+ years. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, if it's for like a team like the Pirates, then yeah, I think there's going to be a team like right now. I know I like Paul Bird a lot from the Rockies, but the Rockies don't trade. Rockies don't like they're like we're stubborn assholes and we're not going to trade because we believe in our process, even though there is no process in place. But that they're trying to put the process in place. And I don't. You know what's funny is it didn't dawn on me what the Rockies didn't draft wise at all.
Oh yeah, let's take a look.
Uh,
They had the fourth pick. They took Ethan Holiday, of course.
yeah,
Then JB Middleton, hard throwing pitcher from Southern Miss. Max Bellew, the outfielder from Texas, who's pretty well rounded, but Pipeline had him ranked 34th, and they got him 74th. You've got Ethan Hedges from USC, third baseman. Riley Kelly, pitcher. Cameron Nelson. Yeah, it looks like they did almost exclusively college after Ethan Holiday. I'm looking. Yeah, not one other high school player. They took a JUCO pitcher in the 13th round, but that's it. So they went college, 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 college. An old Tigers draft.
yeah. Classic Tigers strategy there. So from Ron Garrett, also so this is all Patreon. So Ron Garrett, you guys are familiar with all the players that have come through: Green, Torkelson, Carpenter, Dingler, etc. How do the current big three compare? McGonagall seems like he's doing the favorite do amazing things. The bigs, my favorite's Max Clark. I hope he will be awesome. I think this big three, comparatively speaking to, I guess, would be Torque, Green, and Dingler. I think this is a more promising big three because of McGonagall's hit tool alone, Clark as well, and Briseño's power. They all. And the thing about Torkelson had, because he was number one pick. There was a lot of like when we saw West Michigan. I remember when we went with James Chapman and Jake Bo knows those guys. Shout out to those guys, by the way. We saw Torkelson. The first impression, we were like, "This is it." I mean, we're
Yeah,
getting. Harris Fulmer was telling us like, "Oh, this is the next coming of
yeah,
Jesus Christ." The way it was described to us, and so
yeah, yeah. I think these guys are more well-rounded.
yeah,
Honestly, I mean, Riley Green was playing center field and doing, kind of an amazing job of making these crazy diving catches and such. But I don't think any of us really believed he was a long-term center fielder. He played center field more in the big leagues than I ever expected him to. But McGonagall is going to play up the middle for sure somewhere.
yeah,
Second base, shortstop, dead, yeah, full stop. Colt
right,
Keith was playing third base and second base. Second base was a late kind of change. He played a little bit in the minors, but we always viewed him as a third baseman and probably more of a corner guy down the road, first base, right field, something like that. Torkelson was not a third baseman. Like he played third base until he got to Erie, and that was it. We weren't really considering him a third baseman. Dingler was always a very good defender, but as soon as he got to Double A, my confidence in his bat just evaporated because he didn't produce for like 2 years. Yeah, these guys are all really good hitters, and they're all. I mean, Briseño's defensive versatility or defensive value is probably going to be pretty low, as we discussed earlier. Like he's probably not going to catch. So you're looking at he's kind of similar to Torkelson, right? First baseman only, DH a little bit, left-handed, which helps, and he's going to hit for power. But yeah, the other two, like I don't know. The best way for me to describe McGonagall is kind of like an ideal blend of maybe not. He's not. He'll never have the power production that we've seen from Riley Green, but he's kind of like Colt Keith and Riley Green, kind of at that level of hitter, but playing on the dirt up the middle. It's just a ton of value, and they haven't had a guy like that forever. And Clark is a perfectly good center fielder. I've talked
yeah,
before. I think he's going to move to a corner just because I think if Parker Meadows is still around, I think Parker Meadows is a better defensive center fielder. But Clark will be just fine out there in center. So you got a guy hitting, walking a ton, stealing you some bases. He seems to be putting the ball in the air a little bit more. Yeah, I mean these are three potential all-stars. So
yeah. That's where the pedigree is the big difference between these big three than those big three. I mean, again, Riley Green was doing really well for his age, and he was advancing very well. And Riley Green, to me, of the three, was the one who was like, yeah, this guy's going to get there quicker than anybody else, based
yeah,
off what I saw.
yeah, and it's always tempting to say, like we said, Colt Keith is one of the best hitters we've ever seen in the system, and McGonigal is too. But like Riley Green was different too, right?
Yeah.
Like he got drafted in 2019, played in the Complex League, got bumped up to Connecticut, and then to Low A, West Michigan at the time. And we looked at it, and he was the first recent high school draft pick to make it all the way up to Low A in his draft year since like 1984 or something like that.
Yeah.
And then the next year was canceled, right? He didn't play at all in 2020. And then he comes back in 2021, jumps right to Double A. And by the end of that year, he's in Triple A. Just incredibly advanced, great hitter with power. We've seen him get better every year at the big league level too. So, yeah, I don't know. It's tough to compare any of these guys to him because he's kind of like the 95th percentile outcome.
Yeah. It was
he's already-
first.
Yeah.
I was going to say he was the first high school player outside Nick Castellanos technically to really jump up that quickly. I mean, in 20 plus years.
Yeah, and what we've seen is a two-time All-Star already at the age of 24.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's hard to expect that much from any of these guys, but I think they all three of them have that potential. But we know how prospects work out, right? Like it's ups and downs. Not everybody reaches their ceiling.
And not to mention he already has I think the third highest amount of home runs in the first half in franchise history, something to that effect, or RBIs or something like that. I forgot which one it was, but either way, regardless, he's already got 77. He's already got 77 RBIs at the break. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's impressive. Carl Workman, this is probably my favorite question of all of them from our Patreon. Tigers have invested heavily in data analytics, new facilities, upgraded coaching staffs, better broadcasting, etc. Any ideas what the next steps in the strategy might be? International player development, maybe more investment in affiliates. I think like what they're doing right now, they're spending a lot of money in Lakeland right now with the help of Lakeland. They're upgrading the facilities. They put the covers over so the pitchers can throw all the time. They invested in the dorms for the first time since the 70s. They replaced Helter the former owner. I forgot the gentleman's name now. Before Monahan.
I don't remember.
Either way, they're upgrading everything in Lakeland right now. I think international player development is something that they're working. I mean, they're building a new facility in the Dominican right now. They're finishing up with that, but I think you're going to start seeing more arms out of the international side of things. I mean, what we're seeing right now in DSL with Koba, and some other arms in there. There's some really intriguing arm. Like I think what we're going to see with the Tigers too is got like for example that pitcher they picked up from the Twins, former outfielder.
Omari Daniel.
Yeah, Omar Daniel. We're going to see is the Tigers have their method of madness, if you will. They're going to have a method of like just picking out these players that fit their system, and we're seeing that right now. Like when we heard about the Caesar system and all that crap with the computers and stuff like that. To me, it was all lip service because it didn't. To me, it was just like they're inputting the data. That's something you should have done a long time ago. Mm-hmm. Teams were doing this 30, 40 years ago before the Tigers were, and that's all it was inputting data. Like, and at the end of the day, there's formulas with it that identifying trends, blah blah blah. But their nutrition has improved, like we mentioned, or like what we were mentioning in West Michigan. I think what's going to happen too. You're going to see more advancement in video. Like Lakeland does a really good job. Like for doing like this is year 2 of Lakeland doing video. Mm-hmm. They're doing a hell of a job on their broadcast. But I also think what's going to happen is you're going to see more and more of an influence of the like just what I mean by video is they're like some of the think of like the 3D architecture, you know what I mean? Like where they have like the live model, stuff like that, where they are always examining video all the time. And I think they're going to take it up to a next level. Like look at the Cash guy that they drafted from pitching. I mean, he was throwing at pitching or WRX. Yeah. And I think the Tigers might have their own facility like that soon. Like something like the Tigers, like a think tank. You know, if you think about it, what was that?
Charlie's got a toy.
Oh, okay. Charlie's making an appearance in the podcast. I think, if you think about it this way, I know West Michigan right now is building a facility. There's a facility there's a facility they're building, a sports facility in the next couple of years at West Michigan, in the West Side State. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like and I think the Tigers might I know depending on the relationship with the Whitecaps and all that stuff, but either way, I think the Tigers are gonna have something like that of their own, like maybe some sort of a tiger themed thing like that. I think they could have a possibility with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you touched on the couple areas that I'm thinking of. One of them is international stuff. More, if you look at their, we've talked a lot about their minor league records, right, and stuff, and we talked about the pitching and the non-walks and stuff. That applies across the board, except in the Dominican, where their ERAs are super high. They have losing records, and I think that's the kind of the final step of their player development machine is getting that thing going, where those guys are a little bit more advanced and hopefully more support. Right, like we talked a bunch about how they didn't necessarily have Spanish translation for some of these players. I think getting that going, I think, is going to be a big priority. And part of that, unfortunately, is like continuing to get dirtier
Yeah.
and signing these guys when they're 12, stuff like that. Because that is the one area where the Tigers really haven't. We've started to see them produce guys. We talked about Briseño, we talked about Montilla, we talked about Koba. But you just give it a rest. But and then the other area to me, and this is, I think, I mentioned it before, the holy grail for any team and with developing is investing more in like the medical sciences and trying to prevent injuries at a higher rate. Something like that. It's really hard, and everybody is trying it, and nobody has quite cracked it that I can tell. But if a team does that and they can keep guys healthy, that's the amount of savings in the just the ability to fully optimize all your prospects becomes much greater. It's a huge challenge, and I don't even know if it's possible. But if I were running things, that would be what I would pursue.
Yeah, I don't blame you for that because if you look at the pitching right now, the amount of pitching injuries in the last 2 years has been really bad. I mean, when Colin did the breakdown of the 2024 draft and saw all the pitchers that were banged up, yeah, I think there's something to be said about that. I think that if the Tigers can find a way to mitigate that disaster from the arms side of things, then I think that's what I'm saying. Like maybe like that's what I was saying about maybe a facility of some sort
Yeah,
where they have like dedicated. I don't want to say like there's somebody always like in some mad scientist lab or something like that. Like, but if there's a way to go about that in Lakeland, I think they will.
yeah.
So,
No, I agree with you. So
and then the last question for the evening is from Alan Sinter and he says, "Are the Tigers' holes just too big to address with 1 or 2 trades? And what will cost us in prospects for players who are just rentals?" I think you get mid-tier prospects for that. I don't think Tigers are going to give up a big, but depends also on what the market sets up for too, because there's always that trade where you're like, what, they gave up that for that. So I think it depends on where the big domino falls. Because, for example, relievers sometimes have cost more than relievers are getting higher and higher every year in terms of what they cost. But I might, mid-tier prospects like we mentioned earlier, Max Anderson, a couple of those guys like that. It depends on who it is. But I think they want players. I don't think they want rentals. I think if they do get a rental, they're not going to give up the farm for him. Rather, they're going to give up a guy who wasn't going to be here in the first place. I mean, it's just as simple as that. So I don't think I think the Tigers are going to draw a line. If it's somebody that blows them away, they'll give them maybe a higher level tier prospect. As far as their holes are just too big to address, I think they can fix this year's problems. So what I mean by this year's problems is the bullpen and getting another arm, or I'm sorry, another outfielder, another right-handed hitting outfielder, or something to that effect, to address their power. So that way, just depth, like the on the fringes, as much as you say, improving on the fringes. Those 2 trades I think would help out. Long term, I still think they have their outfield depth is still to me a concern. I've been saying that for 2 years, and I'm still going to stick with it because I just think that one injury and they're screwed. Like I would feel better if they had a guy. I would feel better, for example, like Clark's in Erie right now. If Clark was hitting 300 in Toledo, I feel a lot better right now. And I'm not to say that he won't get there, but like it's just you want to see another outfielder emerge from the next couple of years or so.
yeah, I mean, I don't. when you talk about the holes, you touched on it. I think the big hole right now, and I think everybody knows this, is the bullpen just doesn't have a lot of swing and miss guys. And if you could replace, not that we don't like guys like Brendan Hannafy, right? That they perform well in their roles, but if you could replace a guy like that with somebody who's giving you 11 strikeouts per 9 innings, that solves a lot of issues. If Tommy Kahnle becomes your seventh inning guy and Will Vest is your eighth inning guy, or even if Vest stays your closer, but you have two more eighth inning guys, I think I don't think that's too expensive. Like the options aren't great out there, but we talked about Bednar being an option. I think the Tigers can go get him if they want. I think they should. I don't know what they'd be willing to part with, but I think they have the pieces to do it, and they should be willing to do it. And then go get another guy. I've mentioned Hobie Milner before as like this kind of random left-handed reliever who doesn't throw hard at all, but strikes out a lot of guys from the Rangers. And then beyond that, yeah, like I would love for them to add power bats because power is so important in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's the pitching is so good. It's so much harder to string together 2-3 hits or a walk and several hits in the playoffs than it is to just hit a couple home runs and win that way, or get a couple hits and one of them is a home run, and it's a lot harder to come back when you're down 3-0 than it is 1-0. But again, I think power bats aren't necessarily that hard to get these days, especially if they're expiring deals. People talk about Eugenio Suarez. I think he might be sort of expensive, but nothing like crazy. And then, it's finding those other guys that are out there. But I don't think their holes are too big to fix the team at all. I think that they just have to be willing to do it. And yeah, I don't think it would cost them too much to fix these deals. Fix these holes.
And I was just, the reason I was talking about long term is because, it's just the way we think of things anyways, doing the minor league stuff. I mean, we do talk about the big league team all the time, but I always think about it from a long-term standpoint because you want the Tigers to continuously be competitive. And so, I was just thinking about that from that perspective. You're right, though. I think if there's a team out there that wants to get better off, like who's just going to wait until next year, like for example, you mentioned the Pirates earlier needing bats. I know Hayes has been tied to the Tigers, but it doesn't make any sense because offensively speaking, his numbers have been bad, his back's bad. So, I know it's just one of those Bob Nightingale things where he's just like randomly says a name and, so, but yeah, I think the Tigers just need to, I think they're just going to wait till the market, they're going to wait to, but they also have to like step out of their own hype and go, okay, they think their prospects are valuable, but how does everybody really think about their prospects too? They got to do. I remember we did hear a little bit of rumblings about the Dodgers trade last year, where we were hearing that they were asking for this person, this person. Dodgers were like, no, either take this or this. So I think if Harris has to be the smartest guy, that like just whatever is going to happen this year, he's got to outmaneuver everybody else. So
yeah, well, they have to be willing to spend. That's just the way it is. But there are options out there, and we'll find out soon enough.
Yep, we got 2 weeks. Yeah, it was 2 weeks away. So thank you so much for this 2-part mailbag. So for everybody on the Patreon for the questions, thank you again. We really appreciate it. And you can find all our extra content, bonus content, and more on Patreon. So go to patreon.com/Tiger Minor Report to join. There's 2 tiers to support us for paid, and there's a free tier. And a lot of our articles we put from Minor League Report to Patreon sometimes, but not all of them. So Jerry does these really great graphic breakdowns that are Patreon exclusives only. We're doing a lot more podcast stuff. So like this second part is going to be exclusively on our podcast or on our Patreon and more. So it's just an incentive to join, and it just supports our work. And for example, thanks to you folks, and also because of thanks to people like Elton and our YouTube chat on Sunday from the draft, we're able to go to Erie tomorrow. So we're going to be interviewing the big 3. Chris is going to be here at my house 7:00 in the morning or so. This is 10:41. We're recording this, and as soon as I get done, I'm uploading these, and then I'm going to bed. But just because you guys have been so great to us, all the supporters, thank you. We're gonna, Ron, the Carl, everybody, all the other names, everybody, thank you. It really means a lot to us. And there's a helmet nachos, Chris, for Moon.
I saw those. Yeah, I'm gonna have to eat those.
Yeah, those are. That's a.
I'm not sure about the blue balls, but
no, yeah. the Moon, like yeah. Anyway, oh man, it's gonna be a interesting weekend in Erie. So we'll be there Friday, Saturday, and maybe Sunday, depending on what time we got to get back on Sunday. But the Star Wars night is Friday. Moon Madness is Saturday, and
I
then
didn't realize it was Star Wars night too.
yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
it'll be the first time I think we've gone to a Star Wars game in quite a long time. I think since West Michigan, I want to say.
Yeah.
And then Sunday is the biggest autograph ball. And according to Greg Gagne, he said that the big autograph ball is really cool. And if he's saying that, then all right, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. It's yeah. So thanks so much for watching, or if you're listening on our Brown and Castillo podcast feed, which is exclusive also to our Patreon. Thank you so much. Stay classy, everybody. Have a good night.